Okay, so today I'm going to work on getting the LED into the cockpit of the AT-AT. I've got a wiring system set up here with the LED and a switch and a battery, and it's a pretty simple setup. It's just two wires that go to a switch, and it's a push button. You can turn it on and illuminate a pretty bright red LED. It's going to be housed in the cockpit. I've routed out a little notch right here behind the two pilots that the LED will sit behind and illuminate the little window from behind inside the cockpit. I've also in the cockpit put in some heat tape. It's just basically aluminum foil with some sticky side on the back. It's a heat shield tape. You can just use aluminum foil just to give it a little bit of reflectiveness inside the cockpit. Might throw a little extra light around. And so the wiring route that it's going to take, it's going to go through this piece which sits here on the back side of the cockpit, through the neck. I've drilled some holes along here to guide the wire through this piece, come out the back, which will then go into the main bottom portion of the body of the AT through this hole, and the battery and switch are going to be housed right in here. I've also, in the main body of the AT, routed out a little bit of area here. You can see where I've removed the plastic. This was straight here, just to allow the battery to sit and the switch to sit in here, because I did a trial fit of the body on top here. It would sit like this, and it was a little tight, and it sat a little lopsided depending on how the battery fell. So rather than mess around with it every time I turn the switch on or off, I decided to just go ahead and remove the material there to allow it to set. Ideally, I wanted to set the switch inside this little panel right here, but there's so much plastic and so much supported material behind it, and there's not really enough room to get this switch, even though the actual button of the switch is very small. The housing that holds the switch plus these two wires that come out each side with the plug are a little bit large in size, and I just could not make it work to fit, because I wanted to set it in here and have just the panel be a little push button to get it to turn on, but I had to go to a plan B. So what I ended up doing was removing some of the material inside these holes, which will not allow such a snug fit of the top, so that I can just simply easily pull this on and off, activate the switch, and put the top back onto the model piece. So it should work out pretty well. The model's been base painted. I've got base coat of some black and white primer along with a base coat of gray, and then an enamel coat over the top for protective, and I'll put on some weathering once I get the LED put in. So I'm going to go ahead and try to run the wire the length of the run for inside the neck into the body here. We'll see how that goes. Just going to twist the wires together here so that they may thread a little bit easier through these holes. Now these holes are very small. I used I believe it was either a 1/16 or an 1/8 inch drill bit in order to drill these holes, which you can see are quite small through here, to go through these various pieces. Okay, so this goes through here, and then it's going to run through the neck. Now I needed to drill on this a hole in the neck piece here, along with a hole through the piece here that holds the neck, and then through the back side, so that the wire will have a straight run all the way through. This is the neck corrugated piece. Let's see if I can get this through here. That went through pretty easily. You can see it coming through the middle, and get it over to the rear side of the neck. See if I can get a little hook here to pull this over. There we go. as I'm pushing the wire through the guide in the front, it's wanting to bend, so I'm having to really struggle to guide it into this hole. There it goes. Alright, there we go, through the back piece. And this piece covers this way. That will go together. And this piece will close on top of here. And then this will thread through the main body here. Okay, so the wires are now in the housed in the main body area, and I'm going to just put a little double-sided tape on the switch to tack that down. I'm just going to stick that switch down to the bottom of the body of the AT here. Right there to hold in place, rather than glue it permanently, just in case something doesn't work out. The tape will only be temporary. Alright, now the connections for this are very simple. We just connect the red to the red, the black to the black, and we should be in business to have the LED illuminate for the front of the cockpit. I'll trim these wires down, get those connected, and be right back. Okay, the wires are connected. The lines have been run. I shortened the wires a little bit and put some shrink tube on the connections. And if we turn the switch on, we should get an LED. And there it is. So that looks pretty good. Alright, so the last thing we're going to do is hook up the pieces to the cockpit and put the head of the cockpit on the model. I'm going to try this LED back a little bit. So I'd like this to sit right in here. I was going to dab a little glue on it, but I don't think I need to. Make sure it still lights up. I think I am going to try and get a little glue on it to keep it in place. Lift it up a little bit. Right about here. And for this, I'm just going to use a little clear Elmer's glue so as to not impede the glow of the light. And slide the head of the cockpit onto the model. Before I push it all the way into place, we'll check the LED, and that looks really good. Very happy with that. So try to fully engage that. Alright, so that's the way the head will look. I'll try to put the body on for the completed top portion of the model. And that's how it will sit. And the head is fully articulated. We can move it around if need be. Body will remove and turn the switch on for the illumination. And that is the final look. So, very pleased with that. Came out very good. And we'll continue with putting the legs on, weathering this particular model a little more, and then we'll get into the smoke and flames of the crashed and downed T-47 Snowspeeder. That will be the next portion of the build, and I hope you're enjoying so far, and I'll see you next time.